The constitution of my group is it's almost broken down very evenly, and it's interesting because we're a bunch of University of Maryland people. So you got obviously a bunch of Washington fans, then you got a ton of Giant fans, then you got a ton of Eagle fans. So the Eagle fans are just heckling the Giant fans unmercifully. Thank you so much for Saquon, but he has been such a difference maker, particularly, Damien, in a game where you do have a yards advantage, and now you've got the lead and the ball. And how do you want to put this game to bed? You can ride it on the running game, and there's just been nobody other than maybe Derrick Henry that I think has been any better than Saquon. But this Philly team's now won 6 in a row, and this is by far the best win in that group. How significant is this win against this team who came up there driving up 95 trying to make a statement?
Huge win, because I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are now 2 games up in that division. So to be able to get a divisional game at your place against an up-and-coming Washington Commanders team, big win for the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen, as much as we've been talking about the Detroit Lions in the NFC, we better start talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, because you're talking about just personnel. Who has better personnel than the Philadelphia Eagles right now? No one. Nobody has better personnel, and they're playing some really good football.
They are, and I think that, listen, there's been such excitement in this area because of Jaden Daniels, and they've been bad for a long time. We get it, and their record's still okay, and they've got Dallas and Tennessee coming in ahead of a bye. But for all the talk of Daniels, this Philadelphia defense, who has really been balling, largely bottled him up in this game. What did they do best?
Well, first of all, they couldn't get the run game going. That's the one thing that the Washington Commanders have really done well. They've really been able to run the football. I know
under 100 combined.
Washington is one of the better Russian football teams in the National Football League. I know Brian Robinson Jr. has missed a couple games, but even when he came back for this game, they did a fantastic job of bottling him up. And then there was nothing down the field.
Nothing.
There was no explosive plays down the field for Scary Terry.
He had one catch in this game, and that was just in advance of them deciding not to go for the field goal, which could have given them the lead. But they largely bottled up and prevented any looks downfield at all. They kept everything in front of them all night.
It was a defensive masterclass, honestly, from Fangio, and taking advantage of a rookie quarterback. I mean, it really, really was, and I thought that this always had a high potential to do that. And make no mistake about it, like, the Commanders are a really, really good team. They really are. They are absolutely a legit team. For some of the Philadelphia Eagles fans that haven't probably watched a lot of Washington Commanders games, but Jaden Daniels is for real, and this Commanders team is for real. And so this win is for real. This is a true big win. I mean, the Commanders were averaging 29 points per game, and the Eagles held them essentially to 10 until the very end, which was, I understand that those are points, but like, let's be serious here. I mean, realistically, they held them to 10, and the Eagles didn't even play their best game. And we give the benefit of the doubt to all these other teams for not playing great, but then still winning, whether it be the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens. But it seems like we hold the Eagles' feet to the fire. Now, I still hold everyone's feet to the fire. I still will call out the Lions, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, whoever, and be like, yeah, that was an ugly game. You won, but like, that wasn't a great game. And so I'll do that for the Eagles as well. I'll do that for any team, because I try my best to be as consistent as possible. This obviously, was a very slow start. It took them a while to get going, but I mean, my God, watching Saquon Barkley, I mean, he didn't have a lot going on in those first few quarters, but Kellen Moore never wavered, kept giving him the ball, and then before you know it, 26 carries, 146 yards, 5.6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 52 yards. I mean, everyone talks about Derrick Henry being the MVP. Derrick Henry throughout this season has been a legitimate top MVP contender. Not just like random people talking in media, but like an actual legitimate MVP contender. And I'm all thinking, how is Saquon Barkley not considered a contender? And now, even with a bye, he leads the league. I mean, he literally leads the league. So this idea that he's not an MVP, a legitimate MVP contender, is just kind of absurd to me. But Jalen Hurts, 18 for 28, 221 yards, 7.9 yards per attempt, 10 carries for 39, 1 touchdown. This wasn't his best game. He definitely had some moments where you're like, come on, we got to get you going. You're a little off rhythm. But when he was actually now playing in a more timing and rhythm offense, things got significantly better. But he also had some huge pickups with his legs. A couple really, really key, first down pickups, third down conversions. And that's the thing. The Eagles were 9 for 16. So even though on third down, so even though their offense was not rolling in a way that you would like it to come about, 9 for 16 on third downs. I mean, that's huge. That's as good as it gets. You do that, you're winning the Super Bowl, man. I mean, no one's going to be able to stop you. So that's what was able to sustain these drives, even though missed field goals and whatnot, and not being able to get into the end zone until near the end of the game. It keeps the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands, keeps that offense limited. They were 3 for 12. I mean, the defense was huge for the Philadelphia Eagles, stopping them on fourth down, stopping the run. They only had like 93, the defense held them to 93 rushing, took away McLaurin, who's their number one wide receiver, their big explosive target. It was just impressive. It was impressive. Although it was ugly and wasn't as complete of a game as you would like to see, the defense certainly was pretty much flawless. And the offense just took a while to kind of get going. And then the offensive line just bullied their defensive line. And then brilliant running by Gainwell and Saquon. And then boom, there you go. And no panic from Jalen Hurts, because that game was obviously not going as he initially planned. But he didn't rely too heavily on his legs. It was when the game gave him an opportunity to use his legs, he did, and he was very smart. He didn't try to be like, oh my God, I got to get these extra yards. He went out of bounds. He slid. He did all the things he needed to do. When the plays weren't there, he threw the ball away, which I mean, when you see Jalen Hurts throwing the ball away, I'm like, okay, that is a man who is in charge right now. And that is something that I found really impressive. And then there was times when we saw the play clock running down, and you see him just completely own the line of scrimmage. He completely owns the line, and I love it because he didn't have that. When Jason Kelce was the center, right, that really was, they even said it, right? Like, that was all going through Kelce. And now seeing Hurts evolve into being the true leader, the unified leader of that offense, and see him thrive in it, I love to see it. I really, really do. And then again, man, there was conversations about the tush push not working. Well, they did it twice successfully, and then a third time was where they did kind of like, it's not like a trick, but it was like, we're going to do the tush push, but instead we kind of, I forget if they handed it off or if it was a short little throw to Saquon, but also still converting. So anyone who wants to act like the tush push apparently is not good anymore. Good luck with that. I also think it was awesome that they went to Dotson the first play. To me, that continues to be family building, right? It's like, hey, let's try to get this guy going. Let's get this guy some positive yardage being traded from the Commanders, which when you get traded, it's essentially them saying, we don't want you. We don't think you're good enough to be with us. We're building something here and we don't want you part of it. So I love to see that. And that is kind of Sirianni, right? That is that connection and where someone like Sirianni can really thrive, as we saw with him with Saquon Barkley and when he played against the New York Giants. But it wasn't forced, right? This wasn't forced in a way where we're like, we're trying to get this guy a big game. It's not the way how it unfolded, so it was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I mean, this game had some weird momentum at times. I mean, there was, right, with the Eagles fans are booing the offense and the team as a whole, and now you have Sirianni like actually going for field goals, which is great, but now the field goal kicker is missing field goals and extra points, and you're just like, oh man, does he have the yips? Like, what's going on? And but they never panicked. They stayed composed. The defense held their own until the offense could finally get going, and then the offense took over. I mean, literally, they kept pushing. They kept knocking on the door and pushing the Commanders, and the Commanders eventually broke offensively, and then Saquon was able to take charge, and same thing with Jalen Hurts. And I mean, they even highlighted on the broadcast, right? You saw Cam Jurgens just slam. I don't know who it was, but one of the defensive players for the Commanders, which then opened up that big run, and it was just it's great to see. And then Calcaterra getting the fumble recovery. I mean, that whole game changes right there. Right? That game completely changes. That is a heads-up play. That is the well-prepared, always looking to make a play moment that the Eagles lacked earlier on in the season. And that's why Nick Sirianni was getting ripped. There were players that were not ready to make a play. They just were not ready to make a play. Now you see the offense, the defense, the people that are playing every snap, people that are playing occasionally. Everyone is ready to make a play. Everyone. Defense, offense, special teams, whatever it may be. That is the sign of a well-coached team. That is what I look for. That is always what I look for. Are you ready to make a play? Like my dad always says when he would always yell at me in the field, look alive out there. Look alive. And I used to always be like, oh, why are you always saying that? And it does. It makes sense. Look alive. That's what you see right there, right? Great heads-up play. That completely changes the game. Completely changes the game. It's a difference between winning that game 26 to, what was it, 16? I forget what the final score was now at this point. Or losing. I mean, it's just, it really is the difference in that. So, just love to see it. Really, really, really do. Right, Mitchell taking away McLaurin and the fourth down stops, then the interception from Blankenship. I mean, yeah, this was a master class in how to win a uglier game. Right? A master class on how to be resilient and not panic and crumble. We've seen the Eagles in especially last year in this type of moment. They crumble. Everyone always wants to know what's the difference between last year and this year, last year, this year, 22 and this year. And it's like the difference is if this was last year, the Eagles lose this game. They lose this game 16-6 or some weird, bizarre score. And they don't break through. And the difference is that they have the coordinator to be able to continue to call the right game. They have the defense and the defensive coordinator to actually come up with a game plan to contain this hot shot, dynamic, young rookie quarterback. They have Saquon Barkley to lean on. And again, the coordinator who's smart enough to know, well, we're not going to abandon him just because we're not getting off to the start that we want. We're going to keep Jaden Daniels protected and comfortable and confident. We're not going to force him to just try to make plays and try to win the game with his arm and his legs every 5 seconds. It's just balanced. It's truly, truly balanced. So a ton of positives to take away from this, even in a little bit uglier of a game. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles win over the Washington Commanders and now taking a pretty good lead in the NFC East and still fighting for that number 1 seed for the NFC as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.